So welcome back to some more view controller fun. So we were playing around for a while last time with a custom root view controller. So the custom root controller, you can see in class it took us like 3 days to do the custom root view controller. Now what we're going to do is we're going to experiment with some of Apple's built-in view controller controllers. We're going to play with the same example with a tab bar controller. And then we're going to play with the same example with a navigation controller. For each of these, I've given you some starting code. So if you go to the course website, you can go and click on the starting code, and you can go ahead and download it. And if you get that going, then it'll be faster for when we get to these problems. So alright, so one down, the custom root view controller. The custom root view controller is nice because it's very robust. You can do about whatever you want. But I'll say that if your design fits into either the UITabBarController style or the UI navigation controller, definitely use these, right? Because they build in a lot of functionality for you. But if it doesn't fit, then you'll need to build your own. Cool, looks like my download is finished, which is good. So the example that we're going to be doing today is most similar to the book's Chapter 7. If you're using the beginning iPhone 3 version, it was Chapter 7 at least. Tab bars and pickers. Really, most of this example was actually about the pickers, in my opinion, because the actual tab bar stuff they did like all in the initial setup, and then it just kind of worked. What they did in their example is they very carefully chose exactly 5 tab bar controllers, and 5 is the maximum that whenever you're using the iPhone or iPod Touch view will allow in a tab bar before it goes to this more option. What we're going to do today is we're going to intentionally use 6. And you can see that at each of these different views, clicking on one of the buttons at the bottom brought up that new view controller's view to where it was visible, and it made swapping them in and out really easy. When you did this, you didn't have to worry about the memory management for the view controller. The tab bar controller just takes care of all of that behind the scenes. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our Rose-Hulman buildings to test out this tab bar controller object. These slides were taken from the custom root view controller, and there's a lot of things on here that we won't need. So if you think about the buttons that are on here, each button is here for some purpose. Either it was to launch a new view controller, or it was to launch a modal view controller. And I'll say that with a tab bar controller, the buttons at the bottom are how you go back and forth between view controllers. So only the buttons that are for modal view controllers are important, and none of the other buttons are needed at all. So just kind of going through view controller by view controller, this first one, it would launch this view. This one would launch a munch. So we don't need either of those 2 buttons, so they're out. In fact, that was pretty much this whole view controller. So what I did is I just nixed this whole view controller. But since I still wanted 6, he had a modal pop-up that had like information about the class. I added that one as our 6th one. So I kept his modal view, but I threw away the main menu because we don't really need it with the tab bar controller. On this one, the Rose-Hulman info and map, the done button was to be able to go back to the main menu. We don't need a done button. Actually, all of these had a button to go back to the main menu. None of them are useful, so we're not going to have any of those buttons. And then on these, we had all these arrows to go between different view controllers. We don't need any of those either. So what I did in the files that you just downloaded is I just took off all those buttons because we don't need them with the tab bar. Alright, so let's stop talking and let's start playing. So let's go make a new application. So File, New Project. And what we want to make is we want to make a window-based application for the iPhone. Usually when we do window-based applications because we want to make a universal. But here I don't want that hardwired of a single view controller. I just want a window-based. Note you can also choose to use a tab bar application template. That's all well and good, but since we're talking about it, I think it's better to start from a window-based and then to kind of build it up. Really, the templates are all well and good, but if you know what you're doing, you don't really need the templates all that much if you really understand this stuff. And sometimes it's I don't know, it's almost better to start from a window based, and also it's nice because you can do universal from here and core data if you ever get into core data. So let's go ahead and call this Rose-Hulman, or it looks like I just called it Rose Buildings tab bar. Feel free to put in the Hulman if you like. Since I've done it once before, I'm going to call mine video as always. And the first step is to go ahead and bring in all those files that you downloaded. So go to all those files that you downloaded, get there however you want. And if you unzip them, you should be able, we've got a lot of things open. You should be able to see a folder that has images, view controllers, and zibs in it. Just take that and then you can just drag it over to other sources, copy it over as you go, and hopefully it should should bring over all the individual things, and you should be able to do a Control B, and it should be able to build all that stuff up without errors. When I did it in class, I made a little goof, but looks like it's fixed now. All right, so let's start. Making our tab bar controller application. So we brought in all of those view controllers. So those are the 6 different view controllers we're going to do. So the 4 hulls, the one with the map, and then the 6th one is going to be this Rose-Hulman class info. So that's information about this class, just because I wanted 6. Let's go ahead and start off by adding some stuff to the app delegate. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a pointer to the first object that's going in, kind of the root object that's going in. We've done this many times with view controllers, but this is the first time we've done it with something that wasn't a view controller. So a UITabBarController. And you can give it a name. I'm just going to call mine TabBarController. And you should give it a property. The important thing with the properties, make sure you say IB outlet so that we can connect it to the zip file. And then while we're here writing code, let's go ahead and synthesize. And then the most important step is to add it as a subview of the window. Sorry, I meant to say add its view as a subview of the window. So I went ahead and said self.window, add subview, self.tabbarcontroller.view. UITabBarController is, I think it's actually a subclass of UIViewController, but really it's mainly they just wanted the style to be the same. So it's got a property called view, and the view here contains not only the content view that you see, but it also includes that tab bar that's on the bottom. So by including in the tab bar controller's view, you're going to get everything you want. And then to be a good memory management citizen, we'll release it below. I know this sounds crazy, but that's all the code we've got to write. That's it for the code. I told you it's going to be a lot easier with a tab bar controller. It's going to be a lot easier. So we're done with code. Let's go play with the zip file. So all we did in code is we created a pointer and we added it to the window. Inside the zip file, we're going to actually create the object. So you know this creates the instance. Whenever you drag over a tab bar controller, the system cheats a little bit. It makes a tab bar controller object. So there's one object. And if you hit the down arrow, you can see it actually made a whole host of objects. It actually made 6 altogether. It made 6 because it defaults to having 2 view controllers, and then each of those view controllers get a tab bar menu item, or sorry, a tab bar item, and so it's got, and then it also made the tab bar itself. We actually want a few more than that. I'll tell you what, before I forget, let's go ahead and connect that delegate. So control drag from the app delegate to the tab bar controller, and say that is the tab bar controller. So now it'll get added to the window. And so what we want to do is now we want to start modifying this object the first thing we want to do is we actually want a grand total of 6 different view controllers. What I did there is I hit Command 1, went on the tab bar controller, and I hit plus to get 6. You can see it did a couple things. First, it added them visually across the bottom, and then you can see it also added the objects here. Now you can see what we're adding is we're adding UI view controllers. We want to be adding specific types, and we'll fix that. Also, it just called them item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We want to change that. And the image, it put in a little question mark, and we'll want to change that. So let's start making some of these changes. Let's start with the names. So I'm going to call item 1 map. Item 2 I'm going to call class munch. Myers, Hadley, and Crapo. Order doesn't really matter. So that changed. You can see that actually changed what they're called there, which is great. This just changes, the string that's displayed on the tab bar. What we really want to do is we want to change what type of view controller they are. So let's go do that. So for that, you click on each one, and you can hit Command 4, or you can click like I did. And so this first one is the Rose-Hulman info. It's actually kind of an information/map. The second one is information about the course, this iOS programming course, and this is a Rose-Hulman class info. And then these next ones will be easy. Munch, Myers, Hadley, and Crapo. So I changed the names of all of them. And then I changed the types of view controllers that they are. The way a tab bar really works is it's really got an array of view controllers, and this is showing you that array. And so now we're changing what types of objects these view controllers are that are inside its array. I'm going to go ahead and save it, just because after I do some stuff I like to save it. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to go through and I want to change the images. Oh, I should also mention that in the slides there's a screenshot of what this looks like if you ever want to go back and refer to it. So to change these images, I made some really bootleg images. They don't look amazing, but I just wanted to show you what you can do with images. If you click through here, you can see that when I click, if you read the top, you can see that the first click gives you access to the view controller, which we don't really need in this case. However, if you click twice on something, then that second click gives you access to the tab bar item, and that's the name here, and then also the image. And that we do want to change. And so if you go to Command 1, the first one over, you can change the title here. That's another place you could have changed the title. But what we really want is we want to change the image. For the map one, I've got an icon called Map Icon. It does not look amazing. It's supposed to be a folded map. Then the class, the image for that, so I click twice on that. I've got a little class info icon. Again, could look better. And then the one that I think that actually looks halfway decent is the building icon one. I kind of like this. So go ahead and set all of these to be building icons. I think icons add a lot. Maybe next year I'll make them prettier. Maybe not. Cool. So at this point we've got the display name set, we've got the icon set, and then most importantly the type of view controller it is. We've got that set. At this point we're actually done creating this app. Let's see if it works. So I went ahead and closed out Interface Builder, and I'm going to launch this thing and see if it does anything useful. So it should launch up, and it should display the map first, because it was the one that was to the far left, and it looks like it does. You can see I took off the Done button, because I don't need it anymore. The map view controller still works like it always did. I didn't change any code here. It just kind of does its thing. It's a scroll view, so you can use it to zoom in and scroll around. This image, by the way, this is Rose-Hulman campus, if anybody wasn't aware. So that's all well and good. To switch between views, you just click on the tab bar. So if I click on the class info, this brings up information about this class. Not that exciting. If you click on the Munch view controller, you can see that no longer do we need these arrows to get around, because we're going to move around by moving around on the tab bar controller. Other things you'll notice is that these images kind of have this cool little gloss thing. That's totally the system doing that. The only thing you create, by the way, if you want to look at these images, is you just create something that either has an alpha or doesn't. So it either is opaque or not. So it's kind of like a 1 or a 0. Every pixel is either an alpha value of 1 or an alpha value of 0. So see this one, like it's got colors and stuff, but it ignores all of that. It just uses either an alpha value of 1 or 0 when it draws these things. But I think the buildings look pretty sharp here. If you click on the modal view controller, it takes over the whole screen, not just the content area, but it actually goes ahead and takes over the whole screen, which is nice. So you can launch modal view controllers over the whole screen. You can click on Myers. It has its little modal view controller for that building as well. You recall we had 6 view controllers, and I did that intentionally because I knew that they wouldn't all fit. And I did this so that you could see what you get for free. You actually get for free this little More button. We didn't make this. The system does it for free. And what it does is it puts any of your remaining view controllers into a navigation controller, which is kind of crazy. The only downside of that is the navigation controller adds this UI navigation bar. So you really should plan ahead, and you really should make sure that your view controllers will look good in either situation, either with just a tab bar or with a tab bar and a navigation bar. I obviously did not do that, and mine look kind of crazy because mine have a navigation bar at the top, so now I get 2 navigation bars, and they look kind of poor, but it's all right. But the modal view controllers still work, even if you're inside the navigation controller, which is inside the tab bar controller. This one, it even kind of goes off the bottom. Oops. Which is no good. Another thing that I think is really neat is you can actually change the order, and you get this for free. If you click on Edit, you can actually swap the order. So let's say I wanted to put Munch first, Myers second, and then I didn't want class in here at all. I actually wanted Hadley in here. You can see it put Hadley down in here and it kicked class out. And then let's, I like the map. I'll leave the map up. Now we'll put Myers in here. Oops, what did I do? I lost one. I lost Creepo. Oh, I already had Myers in there twice. So now I've got my 4 buildings in here. I'm going to hit done. And so it's pretty neat that you can rearrange the tabs, and you get that for free. You didn't have to code that at all. So if your app is ever one where your view controllers are pretty independent, right, or they even could have some dependencies, then this is the way to go, right? So you can just pop up a new view to do a different task for a user. And then if you ever need to have extra, you get this More tab for free. This one even looks good inside the navigation controller. The map won't though. It kind of has the double. So I think that this is a really slick view controller. Extremely easy to use. Like whenever the book did it, it actually spent very little time with the tab bar controller because it's a really simple concept. All right, so that's all. That's all the lecture about tab bar controllers. Next time, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about navigation controllers. There is going to be a little bit more to do there, but it's still way easier than making your own. Making your own is great and all, but man, if you can fit into one of these, think of the time you'd save. All right, that's it for now. See ya.